Good to go. Excellent. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining. And thank you, Ali and Costa Women, for making all this possible and hosting these sessions. Today, I wanted to talk to you about innovation. I want to talk a little bit about how we can encourage ourselves to be more innovative, any blockers we can encounter when we come up with new ideas, how we can break through some of those blockers, and finally, what ideas you have. So that would be a really exciting part. I also just want to take this opportunity to reiterate, same as last week, that I am still offering free coaching to any small businesses and entrepreneurs who feel they might benefit from it. If you're interested in that, just feel free to contact me anytime and we'll schedule some time. Now, last week, we spoke a little bit about our experiences of the lockdown so far. We shared what it was like for us. It had only been 3 or 4 days for most of us at that point. And in the last week, I'm sure a lot has happened and in your own worlds to make life different from how it used to be. We also shared a lot of ideas on staying positive, what we were doing to stay motivated, energized and positive. And we were sharing ideas of what was possible in our new realities for our businesses, for ourselves. So we also spoke about thoughts and how thoughts are just that, thoughts. They're not facts, they're not definitive things, they are thoughts, and we can control them to an extent or quite a lot depending on each individual, but you do have the possibility, the opportunity to control your thoughts. And the saying that I was trying to get to last week, and I couldn't remember who said it, is change your thoughts and you can change your world. And it was actually by Norman Vincent Peale. So that to me is one of the most powerful quotes that always sort of keeps me motivated, keeps me energized. And it really helps me because I know that if I can control and change my thoughts, then I can change the world around me. So it will still be a theme in this week's session. We'll still sort of think about how we can change our thoughts, and we'll link it with being innovative. So first off then, a little bit about what innovation is. Innovation is thinking about new ideas, new thoughts, creative thoughts, and new imaginations. Now, I think imagination is a really good word here because I think that's key. Letting your imagination run wild is really going to help you come up with really innovative new ideas that will help you come up with ways of supporting your business, both during this difficult time and in the future, because this won't last. This too will pass. So it's about thinking of new ways of doing things, new things to do as well, or new things to create. And these things can add value to your customers. Maybe they'll solve a problem to your customers. So that's just a little bit about innovation, being creative, imagining, using your imagination to come up with ideas. So today I'll talk a little bit about how we can encourage innovation, creative thinking within ourselves. What will help us come up with new ideas, find solutions to problems, to challenges. And then I'll talk a little bit about what stops us innovating. Doing something new can be scary, challenging, and there's a whole bunch of mental barriers or blockers that we just naturally have. It's just human nature. So what are those? And how can we recognize them? And then how can we break through those innovation blockers? So those bits I think will be really key and will really help you. I think it's absolutely no coincidence at all that right now you're seeing so much innovative and creative ideas, content, videos on social media. There's lots of it, and it's because people are having time and space to think of new things. So there's some really funny ones, and there's some pretty bad ones as well. If I'll find some, I'll share them to the event afterwards. But it's absolutely no surprise, and I will predict that in the next 6, 12, or 18 months, there will be a bow wave of innovative things, ideas, and products coming out just because people are taking this time to come up with ideas and things that they can do. And they have the time to pursue them, to develop them, to explore them fully. And I think it'll be a really exciting time to see what things will come through. And we can all be part of that. Any one of us can be part of that new innovative wave that is sure to follow this enforced time of lockdown and time out. So to start, I want you to just think back to a time when you were being really creative. Maybe you were getting involved with your local carnival and you were thinking of new costume ideas back in February or January or December, thinking of themes and letting your imagination go wild, coming up with whatever fancy dress you could use for the carnival. Or maybe you were coming up with something new in your business and you were being creative in your business. Just think back to a time when you were being creative and try and step into that mind space of creativity. So things that help innovation, creativity, and thinking and coming up with ideas. One of the key things is space. Giving yourself mental and physical space, time to think. This is really important. I always find that I get my best ideas, not when I'm focusing on the challenge at hand, not when I'm focusing on the problem in front of me. Generally, if I just do that, if I bite into the problem that's facing me, I always tend to get tunnel vision. I get blinkered. I'm looking at the problem and all I can see is the problem, and I'm missing everything that's around me, all the other opportunities, all the other possibilities. So what I've learned in my previous career when I was still employed as a program manager, and also now, that actually when I'm faced with a problem, I just step away. I step away and I take a break. I take a break, I take my mind off the problem completely. Maybe I go get a hot drink. Maybe I go and sit in the sun for a minute. Maybe I go and talk to someone about what's on their mind. Generally, by the time I get back to the problem that I was facing, even though I haven't consciously been thinking about it, my mind has been working in the background and little ideas start popping up, bubbling to the forefront of my thoughts. So giving yourself space mentally and physically, and giving yourself time to think is a real key factor in being innovative and creative. Maybe just doodle, maybe just write something down, maybe talk to people, things you can do to just let your mind flow. Yoga, exercise can be good, puzzling, reading, any of these activities that take you away from the space where you're trying to really focus on getting an answer, to let your brain do the work in the background. It's so powerful. The next thing is really recognizing the ideas in your thoughts. It's linked to giving yourself the time to think. So often we're so busy in our normal day-to-day life. We're doing 13 things at once. We're always busy, busy, busy. And our trains are like going at 100 miles an hour. We're having a lot of different thoughts. We're trying to keep lots of plates spinning at once. So there's a lot going on. And when that is the case, sometimes it is possible for us to lose thoughts, lose ideas. Our thoughts are moving so fast, by the time an idea has started to crystallize in your brain, you've already moved on 6 things ahead, and that idea sort of gets lost. Now we're in this space where we have more time, so we can give ourselves permission to take that time and to use that time and space to actually stop and recognize the ideas in our thoughts, and maybe just spend some time exploring the idea before we move on, before we start spinning those 6 other plates that, because actually they're outside and we can't go there. So let's focus on those ideas. So taking your time, creating space, and recognizing the ideas are good starting points for starting to be creative and coming up with innovative new ideas. So once you've grabbed hold of one of these ideas in your thoughts, one thing that really helps is to somehow make it real. Any way you can think of, any way that sort of works for you. So maybe it's writing it down, just simply a post-it note or a notebook or on your phone, whatever you've got to hand. Make a little note of the idea, or do a little sketch it out, or maybe try it out physically if that's the kind of idea it is, or pop something on the internet or talk to someone about it. Make it real, give it a sort of airing into the world and not just in your head. That really helps with further crystallizing and exploring and developing your idea. Next thing really is aligning your idea to the value you add through your business. It may be that it's a completely diverse thing to what you used to do, because we're in this new reality of lockdown with a lot of limitations. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily align to your why and your how and the value that you add in your business. So it's worth giving that a think, thinking about that and giving it, a place within the bigger picture of your business and seeing how it fits. And then by doing that, also envisioning your idea into the future. Seeing your idea in the future, seeing it outside our lockdown bubble, will help come up with even more possibilities for the future. And it will give you a vision of what your business could become and grow to be when you add these innovative ideas to your business. And then finally, also flex and adapt. Be flexible, be adaptable. We talked last week about breaking through our habits and our routines now that we're in this new lockdown situation. The same goes with innovation. Sometimes our habits and routines cause us to be blinkered. So breaking through those habits, and currently we're forced to do so, will really help us become more flexible and see more things that, maybe we wouldn't normally see. And with these imposed limits, these new limits that are imposed on us, that are out of our control, this is the time where you can really let go of the limits that you impose on yourself. Let me say that again. With all these enforced limits that are imposed on us, it is a great time to let go of the limits that we put on ourselves. And this is so important, let your imagination run wild. Think of everything that is possible. Don't add more limitations on yourself to everything that's being enforced already. So I think that is just really important. So thinking on a little bit further, and this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it might trigger some thoughts within you. Here are some areas where you can think about being innovative within your business. So for example, there's new revenue streams and expanded markets. I know we had some massage therapists, for example, recently on the call, people doing different businesses, very physical businesses. And for some, it was difficult to see how they could take their business online. It is in some cases a really big ask, but I think there are options here. And say if your physical business was based, for example, in Malaga, and your customer base, your target audience were also in Malaga, or the near surrounding area, they would travel to your business to use your services or buy your products. That's great. But if you can do something online, suddenly your customer base has grown from just Malaga to Spain, not just Spain, but actually worldwide. So consider where your opportunities are in that. Your customers still have the same problems that they had before that they were using your service or product for. So what they have a gap in what they do now as well. So what can we do to serve our customers in this new reality? So there's so many opportunities with online, and in Costa Women, there are experts on almost everything. So it's a great network to be a part of, and it's a great network to reach out to people who can help you with some of these things. Revenue streams can be things like selling digital programs, selling a subscription through the internet, or simply reaching more of an audience through fine-tuned search engine optimization, using more digital marketing, things like that. There are opportunities that you can think about that can create new revenue streams for you. Adding Amazon or Google advertising to your website are all things you can do just to generate some income from the internet. Cost saving opportunities is another thing. When we run our business year after year, we create processes, we do things on repetition, and they become part of what we do, part of the fabric of our business. And we're just used to them. And maybe we started doing them as a solution to a specific problem, or maybe, they were once a really valuable part, and maybe things have changed since we've started doing those things. So we're probably now in a place where we can't do all those processes anymore. So it's a good time to streamline our processes. It's a really good time to think, okay, is this still adding value to my business? Do I still need to spend time and effort and money on this? Or can I use that time, effort, and money better on something else that adds more value to my customers and therefore to my business? So there's an opportunity there. Then to diversification. This is we sort of touched on it, and it's quite closely related to the new value add ideas and the solutions to your customers' problems. There are new ways perhaps that you can do your business. As I mentioned, this isn't just about your business not being able to operate in the way it used to operate, or having some restrictions to some parts of your business. There are also severe restrictions on your customers. Your customers are in the same position. They have the same problems they had before, but now they can't go anywhere to buy your service or your product as a solution or as a value add. So they have a gap, they have a void in their life where your service used to be. So for example, if I'm sticking with the massage therapist, your customers are sitting at home and their legs are stiffening up, maybe their back is starting to get sore, they're uncomfortable. They would love to come to you for treatment, but they can't. So what can you do now to help your customers help themselves? And that question goes for any business. What can you do to help your customers help themselves whilst, they can't access your treatment physically? How can you add value to your customers from this new sort of reality if your business wasn't fully online already? And how can you astonish them? Can you astonish your customers? Can you make a gesture, a kind gesture, or something that maybe goes above and beyond their expectations, that, you know, makes them remember how you made them feel, because that's really key to customer loyalty. So what can you do to make your customers feel astonished, valued, or how can you help solve their new problems? And finally, then there's also the long-term strategies. This is a time where you can start thinking about what you want to do longer term. What are your options? We don't know quite how long this lockdown is going on for, but we can see in China that they're starting to open things up again. And it's been about 2 months. So we have a window of time where we can start working in the short term to plan and develop for our medium and longer term. So think about those strategies as well and see what you can do. So next, what stops innovation? What stops us pursuing our wildest and most wonderful ideas? Often we kill ideas before we even take a chance of really exploring that idea fully, really understanding its potential and developing it. We often kill it before we even look at the possibilities and the value of an idea. Our brain kicks in. Our subconscious brain gives us a diamond of an idea, and our conscious brain kicks in and it starts saying things like, oh, no, 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 that could never work. Oh, and I could never do that. And no one else is doing that, so no one wants it. I could never make it happen. I don't know how to do this. So there's a lot of questions that your brain instantly starts kicking up, and it's really easy to listen to those thoughts and go, okay, no, just give up straight away. So that's often our first hurdle. We have an idea and our brain shuts us down just from limiting beliefs. Sometimes we get past that hurdle and that's brilliant, but then we come to the next set of hurdles, more maybe physical hurdles, things like learning new things. This can be difficult. This can take time. And we might need to find out how and where we can learn new things. And things then can start looking too difficult as well. And especially when your mind is busy with other things and you're being challenged from various areas, which probably now is a little bit less because we're confined, you can sort of get a little bit overwhelmed with all the questions that learning and developing new things bring up. The other thing is that when you're learning new things, it almost immediately means that you're probably starting to work outside your comfort zone. Now, by definition, that's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. So what can you do in these situations? And what other things are there? So if you have a new idea and it needs to be developed, do we know how to do these things? If we don't have the skills and we don't have the ability, time, or resources to learn, can we call on someone else for support, for help? And that can be difficult because it can be difficult to find the right help. But again, we're in this amazing network of women with so much talent and so many skills that when we reach out and ask for help, we can probably find someone who can help us develop our ideas. Now, when we've got past all these things, it may still be really difficult to launch. Launching a new idea is a tricky thing because often we aim for perfection and we're afraid to fail. These are all normal human conditions that we think, and we worry if we launch something, what will others think? Will they like it? Will this add value? Will they judge me? Will I, put my reputation on the line? What's happening? And we aim for perfection. We try and aim for perfection. So we tweak and we work and we never quite get to launch. Now, I just want to use a little story here to illustrate about perfection. Because I think we all know, really, there is no such thing as perfection. I'm going to use the little ice cream sundae story. I want you to take a moment and think of your perfect ice cream sundae. What is your favorite, most perfect ice cream sundae? What flavor ice cream would you have? Would you have any toppings? Would you have a sauce or cream or all of it? Maybe one or two of you are thinking, I don't like ice cream sundaes at all. And that's fine. I can guarantee you, each and every one of you, your ice cream sundae, if you wrote it down, they would all be different. So that's just it. Perfection will look different for everyone. But that doesn't mean that when you come up with your perfect ice cream sundae and it's different to mine, that I wouldn't thoroughly enjoy eating your version of the perfect ice cream sundae. I would probably enjoy that very much. And I'm really sorry if you're all going to be running out for ice cream after this, but you know, I did last night when I was working on this, so sorry about that. But really, I think it's just a good way of illustrating that actually perfection looks different for everyone, but that doesn't mean that your ice cream sundae can't add value and give me enjoyment in my perception. So I think the best thing is to just create your version of the ice cream sundae and launch it and show it to the world. And for the people that don't like ice cream sundaes, that's absolutely fine. They're then just not your target audience. So that's okay. So moving on then, how can we break through some of the blockers to our innovation? The first thing we mentioned earlier was negative thoughts and limiting beliefs like, I can't do this can't be done, I don't know how, and your brain just shuts you down instantly. Now that we have space and time to think, recognize those negative thoughts and question them. Ask yourself, why am I thinking that I can't do this? Why am I thinking that this isn't a good idea? Is this true? Do I have any evidence? Or am I making assumptions? What assumptions am I making? Am I making the assumption that my ice cream sundae has to be the perfect ice cream sundae for everyone? What assumptions are you making? And challenge yourself. You know, this is where you can be a little bit tough with yourself. This is where you sort of step out of your comfort zone. This is a bit like, I don't know, if you've ever done exercise and you're pushing yourself, maybe you're training for a run or you're working with a trainer somewhere, and it's that last mile to run or those last 10 sit-ups that your trainer's making you do, and it's starting to hurt and it's tough, but he's not letting you give up. He's pushing you, he's challenging you to break through that discomfort to gain some results at the end of it. That's kind of what it's like. So challenge yourself in your thinking and be a little bit tough with yourself and force yourself out of your comfort zone, and that's where you'll make some progress. If you needed some new skills, think about where you can learn them. See if there are any resources available to you to learn some of these new skills. If you need support, ask in your network. Work with people and see if they can help you develop your idea. And finally, this fear of failure, this aiming for perfection, be brave. Remember the ice cream sundae. Try something new, learn and develop. Celebrate your wins and include what you've learned in those wins. Generally, when you learn something, it's probably because maybe it didn't go the way you'd hoped. So celebrate what you have learned and you can take that forward. It doesn't all have to be on the negative side. You can take all the positives instead and just make it grow and flourish. And that's your choice in the way you manage your thoughts. So there we are. We are back to changing your thoughts and changing your world. Now, I think I have been talking for about half an hour now, and I just want to point out this last quote, which is one of my very favorites. And it says, "The biggest obstacle you will ever have to overcome is your mind. If you can overcome that, you can overcome anything." And I think it's the same with innovation. You know, your mind can do incredible things. So I think Ali is about to turn off the recording.